Hello and welcome to a very special episode of That Shooting Show. We are joined by, I would say my old friend, but instead I'll say my long-term friend, Chene van der Merwe. Did I get that right?
After 5 years almost.
Van der Merwe?
Van der Merwe, if you want to say it in Afrikaans.
Van der Merwe. Van der Merwe. My good friend Chene.
That sounds not bad.
Who sent me a lekker email a very long time ago, and the subject line said, "You want to come to South Africa?" And I showed it to Mrs. Anderson and I said, "What do you think?" She goes, "Well, looks like you're going to South Africa." And I just want to tell you and all my South African friends, it is one of my favorite places in the world to go to, and looking forward to going back and seeing all my South African friends, continuing to work on my lekker.
Lekker, that's good.
Okay, getting better. Continue to work on that, continuing to not let Anko teach me dirty words in Afrikaans. He'll keep trying and we'll keep trying to prevent that. And you want to do the schedule, or do you want to go right to the talking points?
Let's do the schedule in the beginning and then do the schedule again at the end. I think sandwich it.
Sandwich. Let's make a schedule sandwich. Let's do it. What's the schedule?
Sandwich. So you will be flying out of your side on the Monday, the 14th of August, which means you should be arriving around the 15th. Then we've got a day or so off just to let you become a human being again. Then on the Friday, the 18th, we've got mental management. So that is included in the 2-day class. I now have decided to call it the C and D class, because calling it level 1 or basic or advanced, people think that they can get to the awesome source by going to the second one. But actually, I still love this class because it's the most fundamental laden, is that a word, that you can get, I think, from you. But anyway, so the mental management on the 18th of August is included in the 2-day class, but people can book it separately. So if you only feel like working on your mental management game, you can come either on the 18th or the 25th of August. Then so that 19th and 20th, Saturday, Sunday, we've got the first of the 2-day classes. Then Monday, the 21st, we've got match mode. We're going to go into those classes. So the 21st is match mode, the 22nd is shot calling, and then the 23rd is shooting on the move. And then again, we've got the weekend class, which is the Friday mental management, and then the Saturday and the Sunday is our level 2 or A and B class, 2-day class. We can run quickly through the match mode. I think isn't as self-explanatory as shooting on the move or shot calling. That was
one would think.
Last year.
One would think, but let's not leave any assumptions hanging out there, right? So mental management is all about, if you're shooting below your skill level, or if you're frustrated, or if you're making careless mental mistakes, we can absolutely fix that. Very, very, I don't know if it's easy, but it's very, very simple. Some of the things we'll ask you to do are kind of counterintuitive. Do South Africans talk about a type A personality? Is that a thing for you guys?
Yeah, definitely.
So
it's called a boer. Anybody with a beard or like a heavy set.
So if you're shooting below your skill level, if you're making careless mental mistakes, and for sure, if you are shooting better in practice than you shoot in competition, mental management will revolutionize all of those things. If you're willing to do a few things differently, we can absolutely fix all those problems. And then I believe you called it the C and D.
There's a difference.
Go ahead.
There's a difference between, sorry to interrupt you, for the match mode 2 Fridays that we've got and the match mode single class we've got. Remember that we've got match mode prior to the 2-day classes, so it's actually a 3-day class.
Yes.
And then we've got a match mode shooting day.
Okay.
Remember we had it last year? So we set up all those stages, and it was the actual implementation of the match mode, if you can call it that.
Mhm.
And that's what I wanted to get to is the difference between match mode itself, the Lanny Basham certified class that we do, versus the match mode shooting day, if you can
Oh,
call it that.
yeah. One of them is in the classroom and one of them is on the range.
Yep.
And
That's it.
walking people through all of those steps and me
Holding their hand.
holding their hand, right? And so
Mm.
that means if I hear somebody talking about their mistakes, I'm going to jump right over there and get right in their face and say, we don't do that, right? And that's so
Mhm.
type A likes to do that. Type A likes to talk about their mistakes because they think that being hard on themselves will make them successful. That can be true in certain environments, but once you've reached a decent level of success, it's time to quit beating
Mhm.
yourself up. It's time to say, okay, I'm doing these things extremely well. Let's capitalize on those. And then let's go to work on these two little areas for opportunities for improvement so that I'll be even better. Right.
Yep.
And that's what it's all about.
And it's just letting go. It's actually, I found it's letting go of the negative things, and it's difficult sometimes for us. It's easier to be hard on yourself than to talk good to yourself. And if it's a habit you need to form, and letting go of that, it's actually as simple as that.
Yeah. And many people have a lifetime of thinking and feeling that way. And it is a tough
Mm.
habit to break. But as I'm sure you've noticed, it's kind of addictive once you start thinking like that. And once you start writing in your journal, hey, I'm really good at these things. You know, I was talking to a guy today who is in contention to win our Open Nationals.
Wow.
And we were going through journal entries, directive affirmations, and I said, you need to understand that you have mastered 100% of what a human being can do with a handgun. And we both got chills, and he almost had a slight tear come out of his eye when he realized that he is at extremely close to 100% of what a human being can do with a handgun. Now, if that ain't good for your confidence, I don't know what is, right?
Now
And
it's just deciding to win every stage.
well, it's turning that desire into a process. That's exactly what it is, right?
Sometimes I think people get intimidated by the stage beforehand, and you kind of have a preconceived idea of what your performance would be, or that's where I am right now.
Mhm.
Sometimes I can rock this, or maybe not so much.
Well, and that's the difference, right? Confidence is at least 30% of performance. And if we're
Yep.
saying and doing things that are decreasing our confidence, even if it feels like the right thing to do, it's
Mm.
not, because if you think about the things in your life that you look forward to, that you believe you do well, and you're not worried about the result, or you know the result's going to be great, those things go great. But if you're not looking forward to it, and you don't believe you're good at it, and you don't think it's going to go well, that's not going to be great. So we got to flip those things
How
around.
easy? How easy is that, though, right?
It's simple. I don't know if it's easy, but
It's
it's
a choice.
yeah, it's
But it's a
absolutely.
choice.
Yeah. And we have some shooters over there that Gaz is a great example. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget. We were doing a class, and this young shooter did something so extraordinary. I don't know if you were there for that one. Do you remember when the shooter did the thing twice that was so extraordinary?
Was
You
it
might not have been there.
Ruan?
Yes, I was trying not to use names, but yes, yeah,
Oh, oh, Ruan's cool.
yeah. Well, and
Hello,
so
Ruan.
we're watching this thing happen, right? And I look over
Mm-hmm.
at Gaz, and Gaz is smiling from ear to ear. And I was like, Gaz, how does that make you feel? And he goes, I'll see if I can get into the accent. It's tough sometimes. Uh, I'm not, I'm not bothered by that. That's not working. I'm
Oh,
not
that's
bothered by
British.
that. It doesn't matter. So basically what he said was, it's fine. That is literally the only thing he can do better than me. And what a healthy outlook, right? Many people would see something
And to know that
extraordinary.
it's possible.
Right. Right. Yeah. And many people would look at that and go, oh my goodness, look at this extraordinary thing. Gaz is like, man, I'm better at 99 other things. So come on, let's go. Bring it on. You know, and
It's what I'm going to be working on.
yeah, that confidence is what unlocks your skill.
Yep.
And
Yep.
there's nobody in the world better than me at teaching people how to use confidence to unlock their skill. And I just love
I
it.
do know that.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got some interesting stuff.
Let's do it.
We've run through the schedule. I've asked some, now my face is white, I'm pretty sure. I've asked some people to send us some questions. I don't want to say negative things. There are better things to phrase it as. And I phrased it to them as, what is your problematic areas? Oh, shoot, there's a phone going off. Is that bothering now? It's not mine. It'll stop now. So I asked them for areas that needed improvement. And we've got like 21 answers where people submitted stuff that said that this is something I want to work on. And I think if it's true for one person, it might be true for many people. So we can run through those things and kind of identify which class might be ideal for fixing that, I want to say, issue, working on that issue.
Sure.
So first up, we've got increasing speed and maintaining alpha count or A count.
Okay.
So yeah.
So that gets into what we call speed mode training, and dry fire is the best environment for that. And we could for sure incorporate and or add a dry fire event to show people how that works. But if we have a rock solid match mode, and that means I can go out and I can shoot good points, good accuracy without conscious control of my speed. That's the ideal. We achieve that in mental management / match mode class. Now our job is to get faster and what faster. And what we need to do is we need to raise our normal speed. And that's done with repetitions.
The shot calling class though could be instrumental in that as well.
It's huge. So there's nothing you can do to get faster and more accurate at the same time, but learning to call your shots is the best way to get your current level of speed and your current level of accuracy at the same time. Shot calling does primarily in transitions. Anytime you're moving from one target to another, leaving that last target with authority, knowing it's a good shot, particularly if there's movement, will let you go to the next task without any uncertainty or any hesitation, and will wind up making you quicker. And I'm going to start saying quicker so you don't make fun of me for saying faster or foster. I don't want to foster any bad opinions of my accent. But no, it's about becoming faster as opposed to going faster. And we'll show them exactly how to do that.
So yeah, I've got here shot calling, dry fire, and mental management all play a role in that, right?
No question. What you've got to avoid is increasing your speed in competition. That is the biggest mistake people make. Somebody's plodding along and they either get the idea or somebody says to them, you're shooting too many alphas, you need to go faster. That's not what you need to be doing. What you need now in training.
Oh, this is an 8-second stage.
Oh, for crying out loud, yes. In training, you absolutely must do that. And I remember the first time I was there, I had an extremely accurate shooter who wanted to get quicker. And every time he shot a Charlie, he'd shut down. This is not working. I have shot a Charlie. Okay. Do you want to get faster? Yes, I want to get faster. Okay. In training, during that process, there will be some Charlies. We know you can shoot alphas. It's practically your nickname, right? So, but in training, let's figure out, what does it look like? What does it feel like to get myself doing everything quicker? And the other mistake people make is they go looking for speed and splits, which is the dumbest, highest risk, least reward place to go looking for speed. You might gain 0.05 of a second and you're risking a delta or a mic or a no shoot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But
0.05 of a second.
Shot calling in transitions is a much better way to get quicker. And of course, periods of movement when we're not shooting. There's a lot of things we can work on there.
All right, next one. How do I get faster while maintaining my accuracy standards? That's basically the same one as our first one.
Same question. So
Same
whoever
question.
asked that question, just hit rewind and watch the last segment again. And that's the same.
You'll get the same answer. How come when I slow down to get my hits, does my accuracy not improve? Basically, same question again.
Well, so the problem with consciously slowing down, if we have a visual patience problem, or if we have a technical problem with our vision or our manipulation of the trigger, slowing down is not going to solve that. Now we have two problems. Now we're slow and we're less accurate. So slowing down by itself won't solve an accuracy problem. An accuracy problem can be nothing but sight or trigger. And if we know which one it is, people will say grip. Somebody's thinking, yeah, what about grip? Okay, you can have a substandard grip and still get an okay trigger pull. It makes it more difficult, but it is possible. So poor accuracy is always caused by sight or trigger. A shooter, and by the way, when you folks come to class, you'll hear it all the time. If you fire a poor shot, I'm going to be right there next to you going, was it sight or trigger? And if you know that, you can fix it.
You should make you a shirt like that.
What's that? Sight or trigger?
Was it sight or trigger?
Sight or trigger. It's got to be one or the other. And so if people don't know what that means, to me, it's pretty obvious, but let's go ahead and explain that. If the sight was on the target, and that's the last thing you remember seeing, and the shot was poor, it virtually has to be trigger. But if the sight wasn't on the target acceptably when you fired the gun, it's going to be sight. And the irony is, for the better shooter, it's more likely to be sight. For the beginner shooter, it's more likely to be trigger, which is ironic because as shooters get better, they start getting disrespectful of those sight pictures. And the shot calling class will teach them exactly what they need to see when that gun goes off to ensure that they're leaving acceptable shots.
I found that the more, when I go into the trying to go faster, on those bad habits, let's push ourselves type stages, then I kind of neglect my trigger. So for me, as soon as I start pushing a little bit, then I don't have the trigger control that I want to, and then I start becoming, the shots are good, but then I was hacking at the trigger, just trying to get it done faster or quicker.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing that can happen with trigger control is, particularly on steel, if a shooter believes they have the perfect sight picture, they're very likely to hit that trigger hard. But if they learn and this is slightly more true with iron sights than a dot, but it's still very similar. If they get kind of a floating sight picture that's good enough, they're much more likely to be gentle on the trigger than if they get a perfect sight picture. Anytime.
And having them now.
Right now.
You do it now. Yeah.
Right. Now. And so we have
factor.
We have a phrase called going to war on steel. Do you guys ever use that expression? Yeah.
You hack away at it.
Yeah. And they're aiming and aiming and aiming, and they're just hitting the trigger harder and harder and harder. We had a big falling steel match here in Ohio, 10 stages. Each of them had 30 pieces of steel at 10 yards. And I watched shooters put bullets into the dirt 10 feet in front of them. They were hitting the trigger so hard. I mean, it's so hard for me to sit on my hands and, must not give advice. I just let them go. I figure they'll come around eventually.
You should hand out business cards.
I'm kind of like the guy at the singles bar who goes up to the lady and says, I never do this, but I don't want to be that guy. But I also hate watching shooters struggle when they don't have to. It drives me insane.
Yep.
All right,
next one. You did that one. I think that's pretty explanatory. How can I have a more consistent technical performance? Mental management.
Sure. So here's the shocking. Okay. If we understand that the mind controls the body, can we agree on that? Okay.
Absolutely.
Therefore, if we learn to control the mind, we also learn to control the body. And one of the things we do in mental management is we have people evaluate their mental performance and their technical performance. And those numbers are always 10 points
Sorry.
apiece. Somebody who
Yep.
had 80% mental performance is going to have an 80% within 5 points, technical performance. So we do that by learning to control the mind. And a lot of people don't understand that they can control their mind, right? The squirrel that's just feeding you bulletins all day, do this, don't do that. Well, that squirrel can be controlled. It's a skill that takes practice, but it can be done.
Yeah, it took me a while and I can be very squirrely in my life, and I tend to still be kind of squirrely all over the place. But now when I get on the line on the shooting range, there is one thing that's happening, and that is shooting my sights. That is still the ultimate goal for me, and that is all I ever strive to do, especially now I've been a little bit less active since the World Shoot and so on. And I go out on the range, and all I do is there's a green dot in the front, and there's two thingies in the back, and there's an alpha, and I'm gonna do my best to hit all of those things, get them aligned and hit them,
Yeah.
and it still works.
And didn't you just win another ladies title?
Yep.
Yeah, congratulations. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
And
that was a tough match, so 30 stages in 2 days.
did you win?
I did.
There you go. How great is that? Right? You're going to need structure. You're going to need some structural reinforcement to hold up all of your medals, because you're going to basically break the foundation of the home with all those medals. And I think we established at one point that you have been to more Anderson shooting training than any other person on the planet. And
indeed,
you've learned that with the right mental game and the right point of focus right before you're shooting, if your training slacks off a little bit, it doesn't matter that much.
I can still do this.
Yeah.
Any day of the week.
Yeah. Roll out of bed and go win. How great is that? And we can teach people how to do that, right? Yeah. And it requires doing some things that seem counterintuitive at first, but I tell people that some of this stuff is counterintuitive, kind of like kissing your sister, right? And then you realize your sister's hot and she's not really your sister, so you kind of get addicted to it. Let Steve Anderson come to South Africa teach how to kiss your sister. I'll be kissing sisters all day long.
For me, it was, like I said, I can still be squirrely in life, but it was and I come back to this, it's a choice. It's a decision I made probably on your second trip here. I decided I'm sick and tired of sucking. I don't want to suck anymore. I will do whatever I need to do to not suck, and then put in the work and put in the dry fire. And I really did a lot of work back then. And now it's like I'm pretty much coasting on that. When I get to this point of I'm sick and tired of being only top 10 and I want to do more, then I'll switch it up a gear again, and then I'll go there. But it was a decision to change how you think on the range and on the line. And when I'm third standby, there is no way you're getting me to touch a timer, a scoring device. You're not speaking to me. I'm dead to the world. Up until then, I'm the funnest person in that squad, and probably also the mommy that's always telling the guys, stop talking bad about steel or saying that you hate steel or that you don't like swingers. I've become such a mommy in the squad, just trying to get the people around me to not speak like that, because quite frankly, you don't need to speak like that. It's not good for you, and I don't need to hear it either. So let's just not go there. And luckily, I've got the personality that I can get away with stuff like that. But it took a lot of conforming, or I'm not sure what the words are, but match mode now for me is, and I mean, like, again, this past weekend's match with 30 stages over 2 days, every stage went exactly like I planned it. There were no mental errors, some technical errors. I'll work on those things, and I want to say that it's so doable if you just make the choice and commit to it, because it's an actual commitment.
Yeah, and So 30 stages, how many rounds was that?
475.
How many? 375?
475.
475. Okay, so out of 475 shots, they're not all going to be perfect.
Mm-mm.
And that's the first thing we have to let go of. This is not a game of perfection. This is a game of acceptable, right? And that's the real curse of the type A personality, is that they see perfection or failure and nothing in between. And we're not saying that you don't keep striving, but here's the other good news about perfection. If you have a stage win or a match win, it was perfect. Right? You won the ladies match. That was a perfect performance. Nobody did any better. So yours had to be perfect. And it doesn't mean that you don't continue to work on things, but it does mean it went pretty well. I can do that again.
I did what I wanted to do.
Yeah, it's great.
I want to get us to something. Aha. What's the difference between working on getting faster and becoming more efficient?
Well, in simple terms, throwing speed at a situation will not always work very well. Throwing speed at anything will increase tension and will for sure cause accuracy problems. We don't care so much about the accuracy problems while we're working on speed, but the just trying to throw speed at it isn't the same thing. Being efficient is about doing things sooner and maybe doing things at the same time.
So which class would you say for somebody like that? Would it be shooting on the move, shot calling, match mode?
Don't we have two sort of all-encompassing classes?
Yes, we do.
That's where that that's where that occurs.
Yeah. I want to find something that we can. There's a mental game one, so that's pretty much match mode.
Let's go back very briefly while you're looking for the next question, and I'll give an example. Okay. Are you ready for an example?
Yep. Yeah. Go for it.
I'm going to try to stand up, but there's a risk I'll get mauled by a Great Dane, potentially two Great Danes, if I. Okay.
Very, very quiet.
I'm going to be mauled by a Great Dane in a second. That is not a Great Dane.
I'm going to get mauled soon. I could go.
All right. So most people are, it appears that your daughter has shrunk considerably. Did you?
I got a bonus child.
Did you put her in the tumble dryer?
I got a bonus child.
We'll talk about that off the air. So many people, if they want to shoot here and then go somewhere else, have a perfect stance, shoot. Oh, dearie me, have I gotten all alphas? Yes, I have. Oh, okay. And then they'll drop down, and then they'll turn their body, and they'll go where they're going, and they'll get to the new place, and then they'll stand up, and they'll go, pew, pew, pew. Dearie me, have I gotten all alphas? Oh, no, there's a Charlie. Pew. Oh, thank God.
Go back down first.
Right. And then, and that is obviously an extreme example. We take all that and break that down. If we can keep the body height the same, if we can learn to call our shots. Somebody's WhatsApping me. My buddy from Trinidad and Tobago.
It's like America is the only place that doesn't use WhatsApps, by the way.
Right. Yeah. My buddy from Denmark had never tried it. And he's like, this is the greatest thing in the world. Because we had a guy from Denmark come over and do a class. It was so cool. He was of course a Great Dane, always. But so inside of all that, right? Something as simple as picking up a foot or shifting your body weight while those things are happening is so much better than just trying to go fast. Going fast, there is a time and a place for going fast, but being more efficient is about getting things done sooner and potentially at the same time as other things.
Yeah, so the 2-day classes is more the sooner class. Shot calling, we don't really, the purpose of shot calling is not a lot sooner that we're going to be covering there.
So the great thing about shot calling, right? If we look at our previous example, pew, 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 dearie me, have I shot all alphas? Takes that completely out, right?
Yeah, it defeats the purpose of over confirming.
Well, as the gun fires, you know the shot was acceptable. So you don't need to be hanging around looking at the target to see if the hits are okay. You watch the gun go off and you learn to evaluate whether the shot was acceptable as the gun goes off. And that saves a ton of time.
I only shot 5 mics on those 475 shots.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. My shot calling is jam. So movement and stuff like that. But anyway, shot calling can really got me to shooting only 5 mics on all of those shots, and that for me was pretty spectacular.
And that was probably a pretty tough.
I knew where they landed. It was not easy. A lot of the guys that designed it went to the world shoots, and there are a lot of those strong and weekend stuff and movers and crazy Ivans and tiny plates and tiny poppers, and so it wasn't easy. And that was, yeah, shot calling can really get you
on the topic of shot calling on those little plates you guys like so much. Okay, those little tiny 6 whatever a centimeter is.
That's like 3 inch. Yeah, something smaller, like your head.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so if you've got 6 of those out there at 18 yards, shot calling is the difference between that taking 10 seconds and that taking 5 seconds. And if you drop your stage times, shot calling on steel is the easiest way to bring those stage times down.
Let's run through a couple more. I want to say being first up on a 32 round stage, that will be fixed in match mode very easily.
So, well, let's talk about that real quick. Okay. First up on a 32 round stage. What's the problem?
I have a plan. Get there soon.
Yeah. What gets people into trouble is they worry about the result, and that takes them away from what they need to do. There's something they need to do. And being first is no different than being 14th. If you know what you're going to do and you know how to do it, it doesn't matter. And by the way, if you're quick, going first is a huge advantage. If you're quick, so somebody who's quick should be begging to go first, because everybody else will go.
Because you scare the hoo-ha out of everybody else.
Everybody else will go, did you see that?
Yeah.
So once you're quick, going first. I worked with a guy years ago who was very afraid to go first, but he was quick. And so I made him go first on every stage at every match. And then they wouldn't let him do it anymore. They literally would not let him go first anymore because of the psychological advantage they thought he was getting. He wasn't doing anything. He was just shooting the gun, but he was scaring everybody.
He was just freaking everybody out. Yep.
Yeah.
When I go first, I'm renowned for having like more shooting on the move stage plans, and I will kind of sometimes find stuff very differently or walk it differently. But when I'm first, I pick a side and I work out a plan and I commit to that plan, and I say then I will do that to my very best, execute it 100% perfectly, and that is it. And I will be happy with every shot that I place there because I'll call it all, but I will commit very, very quickly. I won't even look if there's 2 options. I won't even go look at the other one. I'll pick one, work it out, commit to it, and then just run the movie. And that for me is my strategy for going first on a 32 round stage or whatever stage it is.
Perfect. Yeah. And the biggest mistake people make, if it's a stage planning question, there's a lot of assumptions contained in that question we probably don't have time for. But and they always say, well, we only have 3 minutes here in South Africa. Okay, fine. You got 3 minutes. How much time are you going to spend deciding versus preparing? If you spend 2.5 minutes deciding, you got no time to prepare. So you need to choose quickly. And unless you're a brand new shooter, you probably won't choose a stage plan so dumb that execution won't save it. If you're brand new,
Yeah.
you might. But if you've been at this a couple of years, you're probably not going to pick something so dumb that shooting well can't make it work.
And generally, there's not even a lot of dumb stage plans that you can do.
Right. That's exactly right.
Mostly, it's all designed to be shot fairly much from one specific point where the course designer wanted you to shoot it from in any case. And if you do that, you're pretty much all right. It's only when people start really seeing opportunities that other people don't. But if you do the dumb stage plan and you do it well, you'll still be okay. Mm-hmm. Because that's pretty much, if that's the thing you saw, that's how they designed it.
And if anybody is still tempted or is changing their plan right before they shoot, please don't ever do that again. That's just not, no, let's just not.
That is like kissing your sister.
It's like kissing your real sister. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you should have a kissing your cousin and kissing your sister. These two are different. Let me find one more. Leaving positions before the last shot has been called confidently on a target. That's shot calling, right?
So here's the thing on that. You get to leave the position when you call the shot, not when you press the trigger. And that's what shot calling gives you, is staying with that sight picture. Chene, I think it's 30 milliseconds between touching the trigger and the gun going off. It's however long it takes to blink. It's very, very quick. And if I decide to leave on the trigger pull and I don't see it lift, that's what causes that problem. But going back to the speed gains of shot calling, if I wait to see that sight or that dot move, now I can leave with authority and conviction on any target, steel, partial, doesn't matter, knowing it's going to be a good shot, knowing it's going to be acceptable.
I think I'm going to add another like 0.2 or something on there. It is, you know, that now that we spoke about, when you decide, when your brain starts sending that impulse to your finger and people start tending to shoot low, you can kind of almost shoot low or shoot inaccurately when you go now instead of watching the sights go off. So it even adds a little bit more time. So if you start reacting on your exit when your brain gives the impulse for your finger to pull the trigger, you are giving more room for inaccuracy errors by adding a slight little bit more time in that function, because people can flinch by the time they think about it rather than by the time it happens. Because that's when you get flinching and low shots.
Yeah, that's a great point. Sure, of course. Yeah. And one other thing I'd like to say about match mode class is you probably don't remember pressing the trigger for any of those 475 shots. It probably just happened and you were watching it happen.
Yep.
And that's the ultimate match mode, where you're not actively firing the gun. Your subconscious mind is firing the gun and you're just watching it go off to make sure everything goes okay. It's
That's a beautiful place to be.
Oh, it's so great. Yeah.
It's so much fun. I never knew that it could be so awesome.
I know. And here's the neat thing. Well, it's interesting. Everybody will say they shoot their best when they're not thinking. Okay. But they won't pursue a subconscious performance, which is the definition of not thinking. Yep. So that's what we're selling. We're selling a performance without thinking. We just call it subconscious skill. Right?
My battery and my things are going low. Just give me 1 second. Please, maybe what's one of the almost done? Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I just had to give Afrikaans instructions there to a child.
I didn't see a donkey pass through there. Were you
shouting at my...
Were you thanking the donkey for doing donkey things, or were you just thanking Jean-Rico for doing donkey things?
I was thanking Jean-Rico. You won't believe how big that child's gotten.
Oh, I see him. I see him stooping to get under the ceiling. I can see that. Yeah.
Oh, I can't feed and clothe him. I'm gonna start a GoFundMe page just to feed and clothe that child.
I
It's
noticed
insane.
he's hunched over trying to clear the ceiling while he inhales a sandwich. That's fine. So I'll just continue to sound intelligent while Chene sorts out her audio issues. These questions that people are asking, these are the most common questions in the entire sport. And my specialty specifically is saving people years of struggle. If you've been doing a certain thing and getting a certain result and you don't like the result, let's be willing to change what we're doing, right? And if you're somebody who is a little older and you're frustrated with where you're at, we can absolutely save you years of struggle. Somebody who's 50, 55 years old, you don't have 10 years in the sport to keep making the same mistakes. So let's get this stuff figured out.
And who better than the man to get you to work? Can you hear me?
I can hear you beautifully.
Ah, good. It worked. I said, who better than the man?
So
yeah, okay.
Here's my thing, right? Everything we do starts out really simple. Shoot the targets. Pretty simple. You go to your first match, shoot the targets, don't get DQ'd. Okay. And then we get in the sport a little while and everything gets really complicated. I gotta do this with my foot. Oh, now I gotta grip the gun a certain way. Oh, this is really complicated. And then after some number of years of that, you have achieved this. You have let it return to being simple. You just go shoot the targets.
Yep.
And you don't have all that clutter in your head, right? So think of me as the guy who can get all that clutter out of your head and return this to simplicity.
You can either do this on your own for a certain amount of years, or you can kind of default and bypass that and take the Autobahn to getting there rather than the old VW Volksy. What do you call a Beetle that side?
Beetles, yeah.
Yep. All right, so we've covered what we're going to do basically, and I think the big thing between the C and D class, as I'm calling it now, and the A and B class is our level of expectations of the shooters that's going to be participating in that. When you're doing the advanced or level 2 or whatever we're going to call it, or the A and B class, you kind of expect it to be on a level where shooting, what are those classifiers? I mean, the one that we did a couple of years ago was shooting strong and weak and starting back at, what was it, 25 meters, then going forward, then you got strong and weak and all those things. That shouldn't scare you. Those types of things you should be practicing and doing by default, and you should be pretty much okay with those types of stages. And I think that's the difference that people need to understand about. It's your level. You're not going to be learning or able to even grasp the advanced stuff that's out there if you can't master the basics or haven't mastered the basics. And I'm going to say this again, and I said it previously, that your introductory or our standard class that you do is probably the most fundamental driven, getting you from, we had like novices once or twice, and when those novices walk out there, they can pretty much be on a level where they can get to C class level. They bypass a year of trouble by just doing that. And especially when they're new and they don't have all those bad habits and stuff that they need to like erase and rewire, and they have the myelin rewritten and stuff like that, and we can just get them on the straight and narrow from the start.
We had a couple of guys that didn't even officially own their guns and came to class.
Yes.
We had to smuggle their guns out of the gun shop and let them use them temporarily. Yeah, I mean,
so that's,
yeah, let's let this stuff be simple.
losing me. Okay, cool. And then on both of our weekend classes or the 2-day classes, it's actually now a 3-day class. So you get the mental management is included, and we do that beforehand so that you can walk in on your Saturday, the first day of the class, and really understand what is. You won't be a master at it yet, but you've got a concept of it, because if you hear about it the first time on the Friday, you're not going to necessarily be an ace on the Saturday with your mental skill, but you will have a grasp of the terms and the terminology and everything that gets used, and what is
Yeah, your internet's frozen there. 10,000 miles of underwater internet cable just let you down. You look very frozen in thought. So yes,
yeah, something's happening with our thing.
there we go. Now you're back. All right, so I think you're good now.
Hold on. Good. That should be better.
Yeah, it's fine.
Cool. All right. So that's our weekend class: Monday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The C&D class level 1 starter. Then we're going to do, and we spoke about this, I think, just to recap, the match mode day in live fire shooting. I think I called it something better last year. I'll just check. But it's actually implementing your match mode. It's called practice match mode. That's what we called it.
Sure. Yeah. So that's so training is not the same thing as competing, and that class will teach you how to become a better competitor, so you can get access to your shooting skills on demand. That's what frustrates people the most. I'm practicing a lot. How come I'm not shooting better? Well, I know exactly why that happens. I know exactly how to fix it.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
It's simple. I don't know if it's easy, but it's simple.
I think, yeah, terminology maybe in my brain is and we said this again ad nauseum. It's a decision. I think for me it was always just a choice. So then shot calling, the most beautiful thing in the world.
Great.
when you know where it is without having to do the thing. It's
Oh, dearie me, have I shot 6 alphas? Oh dear, here's a Charlie. I must launch another fill-in. Pew!
and that was one of my mics, by the way. I was sure it was on the popper, and then I dropped the gun and I saved the time. I called it. It was probably just an edge hit. It didn't fall, and I decided, well, you know what, leave it. I'm not gonna hack at it. It's fine. Keep going. And there was a ping, and it was an edge hit, and it didn't fall, and it was just marginally not there, and it's okay if it's a miss on that. That's all right.
Well, so your shot calling margin of error is usually about the size of a grapefruit.
Yep.
And on your little plates that they like to use so much, that gets kind of critical, you know.
But picking up the gun again and adding 2 seconds to your time, it's not worth it. And the amount of thought process, it's a short stage. I don't need the extra time. I've got a lot of steel, which are all alphas, and those decisions that go through your head in that split second, it's like, leave it, it's good.
Yeah. Good.
Anyway, so that's shot calling. And then shooting on the move, we didn't really talk about, and it's also, I want to say one of my superpowers, but it's one of my superpowers. I freaking love it.
So, all right. So you'd be a good one to ask then. And this is a great thing to talk about. The most common question we get about shooting while moving is, when do I post up and when do I stay moving? How would you answer that question?
I don't make a choice. When I stop by default, it happens. So if it's probably on a fill-in or on a more difficult target, I plan to keep moving all the time. I slow down partially, or if it's not there and I need to fill in again, or something is disappearing, then maybe slightly. But for me, if I could stay moving all the time, I would do that. And I've seen it where I hit a popper, I shoot at a popper, first one's miss, and I decide, well, F you, and I take a step and I keep moving, and then they fall. For me, it's a lot. I shoot so much more confidently. It's like I pay more attention when I'm moving than when I'm standing still.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. that reminds me, very briefly, I was coaching a very young shooter one time, and I was over on this range doing something. He was over here, and he comes to me and he says, I got something weird happening. I can hit the plate rack when I'm moving, but I can't hit it when I'm standing still. And I said, surely you're reversed, right? He goes, no, if I'm standing still, I can't hit it. If I'm moving, I can. And what we realized was when he's moving, his sight picture is a little bit more wobbly, so he's more gentle on the trigger. Whereas when he's standing still, he's saying the sight picture is perfect. So it's now.
Yep.
What a great place to be.
And it's also, for me, it's never a unique or it's not a general problem. Some people are more that way orientated to maybe be more squirrely brain like me. So if it's a little bit more action stuff happening, then I zone a little bit more. And when it's kind of tedious, then I become like, oh, if I have to stand and shoot 12 or minimum is 9, if to shoot 4 targets from one position, 8 shots, I get like, oh, really? Do I have to do this now? Can't you like make me do something? So the squirrel brain in me likes staying on the move. And I think that people need to understand that if you're the type of person that likes to set up and be static, then be that. If you're the type of person that has a little bit of a more squirrel brain and you want to be on the move, then do that. But understand that you need to have the skill set to stand still and do it, and the skill set to stay on the move, and when to implement, which I would always be on the move rather than standing still. If you had to give me a choice, a stage where I can choose between moving and standing still, I would always pick moving, but I know that is my choice. People, I think, don't always know what their preference is because they think that standing still is easier shooting. For me, moving is easier shooting.
Well, and here's the other part of that question. The people that can make the shot while they're moving don't ever ask that question. They're too busy shooting it while they're moving. It's only the people that can't make the shot while they're moving that ask the question. And then you've already answered it. If it's match day and you can't do it, then you can't do it. Match day is
shouldn't do it.
Right. Match day is not for trying stuff. Match day is for doing
but
stuff.
If you want to do it, then you come to Steve Anderson shooting on the move class.
And I've got a trick for shooting on the move in practice that is so simple and so brilliant that I'm not even going to tell people what it is, but they're going to.
I know exactly what it is, but I won't say a word.
They're going to experience it. And then 2 hours into it, they'll figure it out and they won't even believe what's just happened. And I'll just be standing there grinning like they use, like Tarek calls me, the mixture of David Lee Roth and the Southern Preacher. I'll just be grinning like David Lee Roth, the Southern Preacher.
All right, so that shooting on the move is pretty much where the magic happens, on the move. And then we've got mental management, same thing. We've got 2 slots for mental management, and we've got so much space on that.
Oh, and by the way,
if
anybody has kids that are in athletics, or if anybody has kids that are somehow affected by performance anxiety, whether it's test taking, if they're musicians or performers and they have stage fright, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, then come do that one-off class. I actually had a guy take mental management recently, and it completely changed his entire style of parenting in one day. He's got a couple of young kids running around, and we started the second class, and he goes, I just got to tell you, I tried something yesterday with my kids. I started asking them to do things instead of telling them not to do things. And it was the greatest parenting moment I have ever had.
But then we can also give them the coaching, what's it called? Coaching champions?
Yeah, parenting champions. Yeah.
Parenting champions. Yes. So that's also an option. Anybody who's, besides the mental management, that is something that you're certified to do as well.
And if somebody has a young athlete that they want to see excel, there's a lot of things parents do that harm that they don't understand how it's happening and what's happening. So having especially if your child is talented and has a lot of potential, we got to be really careful, because that mental game is always under construction. And the parent is the only mental coach that kid's going to have. So that parent needs to know how to coach that kid.
I think it's not necessarily only parenting though. I haven't done the course, and we'll go into that, but I've seen it very often with husband and wives, where they would not necessarily be focusing on the doing well, but rather on the negative stuff. And a lot of the times the wives get coached by their husbands, and what that gentleman says to that lady will 100% affect how she shoots the rest of the day or even the next stage, just by whether he's praising her or saying, oh, you did this, or that. And it comes from such a good place where they want them to do better, but then they're going, giving them a list of things to do better on the next stage, but there's no way that you can implement those things on the next stage. And I try to have the conversation with them, and it always kind of, I've stopped doing that because I try to help the ladies, but I think that this should be, except for apart from parenting champions, being married to or coaching, or I don't know how you're going to phrase it.
So anytime a couple shows up in class, I like to separate them if I can. Sometimes they resist it, and the really smart couples will separate themselves.
Yep.
Because I've had numerous couples come to class, and the husband's been the coach,
Yep.
right? And the wife will literally watch while I'm talking. The wife will watch the husband to see if he agrees with what I'm saying, because she would rather do whatever he's going to tell her to do and get whatever result than risk creating a rift in the relationship, because whatever
she has to go with him.
Right. Whatever baggage exists in the relationship also exists on the range.
Yep.
And separating those two can kind of keep the baggage away from the shooting.
Anyway, we're digressing. So yeah, that was mental management, also parenting champions, and even spousing a champion, if we can call it that. And then our last classes again. So this is just, hey,
I've got it. Get divorced for better shooting. That's what we'll call it.
Listen,
No.
Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Can we not say it?
We won't call it that. We'll call it something.
We'll call it spousing a champion.
Espousing better results.
Spousing, yeah, espousing better results. Spouting. Okay, so last one. So we've got 25th mental management. This is the precursor to our second 2-day class, which is again at the advanced level 2. And it's the same question about guys that can shoot on the move that will not ask whether that class is for me. They'll know that that class is for them. And you get those guys that book it and it's their class. And then you get the guys who book it. And then I have to kind of talk them down. It's like, you're not there yet. And that's why I put the precursor in about B, C class or C and D class and A and B class. So I kind of expect them to be on a certain classification level already in order to book either of those.
That's right. And here's the other thing. There is more new information in the CD class than there is in the AB class.
Absolutely.
So more
your room for learning new things and developing new skills, where on the A and B class or the level 2, we're honing those skills and you're refining the living daylights out of them, by sure, but it's still stuff that you are required to be able to do, where in the first class, the CD class, you learn to go faster than you've ever gone in your life and do things that you did not know your body is capable of, and that is just the most empowering thing in the world.
And the A and B class is more reps of fewer skills, because those people are looking for tenths of a second, whereas in the C and D class we're going to deliver entire seconds.
Isn't it amazing when you take those, like, take 3-4 seconds off of how many things? Stages we take 3-4 seconds off of. Transitions you take almost half to what's it, eighth of a second off, or 800, no, eighth of a second. 0.8 goes off usually in between those transitions.
Mhm.
So pick your poison. I don't think we've got much time left because we're running into the red zone.
Okay.
Anything else from your side?
No, I just want to encourage people. I would love to see. I feel like we've seen most of South Africa. You would know better than me if there's anybody in South Africa who is, as you said, tired of sucking.
Mm-hmm.
And you're willing to do some stuff to get out of that hole, willing to do some mental stuff, willing to do some technical stuff, we can absolutely put you on the right path. It's so easy to do. Great.
Yeah, and
Chene,
that is it.
it's been wonderful talking to you. It doesn't look like you've endured load shedding, either that or you have a backup generator, so that's great.
No, we're on a bit of a go slow. We were on like 12 hours a day without power a couple of weeks ago, but now it's less.
You had 12 hours of load shedding?
Not consecutively, but they would split it up.
Yeah.
So in total, you would go around 12 hours a day without power, which is kind of sucky.
Yeah, that's I was gonna say that's powerful, but it's really not. It's really not powerful. It's the opposite of powerful. It's powerless.
You learn to what to do and what not to do, and how to fill your time, whether it's going to be staying somewhat on the phone some more, on the TV some more, or you're going to do some dry firing in the day when everything goes off. Again, it all comes down to choices.
Exactly right. All right, well, I
Anywho.
can't wait to get there. I can't wait to see everybody. I can't wait to do a braai and have a braai brookie. Those are my favorite things in the world. Love those. Can't spell them, but still love them. Oh, I can spell them. I just can't spell them
You can
correctly.
spell them.
J's,
It fit.
J's and K's.
It's-
That's the whole language is J's and K's.
And
That's right.
yeah. All right, so we'll do the get to work thing.
Sure. Until we meet again in South Africa, online or anywhere else, load shedding or non-load shedding, be like me, do what I do, say it with me. 1, 2, 3.
Get to work.